So I don't know how many people know yet, but we got a kitten recently. Her name is Siki. She's very playful. She's clearly the spawn of the devil. And I thought I would just introduce you to her before I get into the main video. The other day she just climbed onto my shoulder and fell asleep, so I'm pretty much sure that she's a shoulder cat, and I feel like we just treat her the same that we treat our rats, and that's just how she behaves in the same way. So yeah, Siki, you're being really camera friendly right now. But yeah, she's got the zoomies, so I'd like to welcome Siki to the family and to the channel, and we love her a lot. She's just baby. Yeah. Oi! It's Siki. Alright, on with the video. Say bye, Siki. Bye. 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 Hey folks. So to get straight to the point, I asked Instagram to send me questions regarding transness, being trans, trans stuff, hashtag trans, all that stuff. Wow, I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, I had a lot of responses from it, so apologies if I don't get through all the questions, as I feel this video may take a while. I got an interesting array of questions from folks both cis and trans. I feel like some of the questions could be construed as not necessarily positive, but from a place of not knowing. So if I do read out your questions and I do kind of explain why something you said might not seem right, it's coming from a place of wanting to teach you the kind of right way to say things. I think it's important that we learn from the things that we've done or said, and you can't learn until you have someone tell you what is and what's not. Again, yeah, if there's something that I feel like I need to address, I will address it, especially as this is a trans Q&A, so I need to explain things to make sure people get an answer that makes sense and is educational rather than just a rant, you know? So yes, on that note, I'm gonna get on with the questions. So LL_IELTS_Todd asks, what is my favorite thing about transitioning, e.g. social thing, testosterone effects? You know what? I think my favorite thing about transitioning has been finding a community of likewise people and having that safe space and knowing that there are people out there who understand what I'm going through or have been through something similar, and just having that community to reach out to talk to if I ever need to about anything. Like, that's definitely the most important thing for me. And if I hadn't transitioned and come out and everything, I would not have been able to grow this amazing community that I have around me. So I know it doesn't seem like a personal thing, but definitely for me, that community has been the most beneficial part of all of this. Senan.jb asks, how often do people judge you? I'm assuming you don't mean it in a bad way. You're just wondering how accepting most people are. I guess this is really, this is a hard one to answer, because yes, obviously people like judge me, but like for the most part, I feel like it's people not saying it directly to my face. Obviously, like, I will get comments online which are being rude and whatever, but it's never really a personal thing. It's just because, like, to take something personally for me, it has to be someone that I know personally who has said something that upsets me. When it comes to strangers on the internet, etc., it literally doesn't bother me, it doesn't faze me at all. So it's hard to feel judged by them in that way. So yes, people tend, like, there have been occasions where people like judge me, but it's not like something that happens often, and I especially don't, like, people may be judging me, but I don't see it because they may be saying it to other people or thinking it in their heads. Especially when I'm walking down the street, I don't really get as much harassment as I used to. When I was just, before I transitioned, I used to get a lot more harassment when I was presenting female. So yeah, I get much less judgment now. I get judged mostly by what I wear rather than my gender identity, so yeah. Lil Boy Bluish asks, what's my favorite change I've experienced on T? I guess that similar to the first question, except for it's more testosterone direct, so I feel like I can answer that separately. My favourite change that I've experienced on T has been, I guess, my facial hair. Like, it is still growing in, and it's kind of done this weird thing now where it's starting to grow up here, as you can see, but it's like empty there. If you go and watch my 3 years on T video that I posted a couple of weeks back, you'll be able to see me talk more about my experiences on T, but both negative and positive. So yeah, if you see that one, yeah, go watch that one and it might explain further. But yeah, I think my facial hair is my favourite thing, because I mean, just look at it, it's doing a thing. Like, that's I think I like it best because it's the thing that I notice the most out of everything, because yeah, like, it's definitely the thing that's helping me pass a little bit more, and I think that for me is like the most important thing. So yeah, that. JMazing_YT asks, has my relationship with sexuality / sexual identity changed on HRT? Yes, like, it has. Weirdly, I never thought it would happen to me, but it has. And more recently, in like the last year, I've maybe since starting Nabido or something, but definitely, like, it's changed a lot. Before, so okay, this is gonna be a long answer, so sit tight, it's gonna be a long one. Pre-T, pre-coming out, pre-transition, everything, all of that, I always identified as bisexual, and at that point as a bisexual woman. I had never actually dated a woman, I only dated cis men. I wasn't aware that I was allowed to do other things like transition and be queer and all of that. I just didn't know that was a thing that I could do. So I just dated cis men back then. I'd say like 90% of them were also straight as well. I had dated a couple of bisexual men, but that never came into like my gender identity. I don't consider that part of my like queer journey, you know what I mean? And then I came out and I cut my hair short, and I felt more comfortable because I was more visibly queer to approach those that I was interested in. That's kind of how I ended up with one of my exes from a few years ago. They were non-binary at the time. I don't know how they identify now, but that was my first like quote-unquote like queer relationship for me, at the very least. And ever since then, I haven't dated anyone that wasn't like LGBTQ in one way or another. Since that point also, I have only dated trans men or non-binary folk. Since coming out, I have been with a couple of cis men, but it's not anything that's been particularly ongoing. And in terms of relationship things, I think I only want to date trans folk because, I don't know, it just, for me, it feels most comfortable. But saying that, getting to the point of this story, I guess, is I've only ever dated cis men, trans men, and AFAB non-binary folk. Recently, I've been particularly interested in women. I don't know what it is. I've just been like, it's really difficult to explain as someone I've never had a girlfriend, like I've never been with a woman, and back when I was a teenager, you know, we just make out with everyone. I was doing that a lot when I was younger, but it was never like a romantic thing. It was always just, I was a teenager and I was having fun, I was kissing everyone. But yeah, like romantically, I've never like had a girlfriend or anything like that. For some reason this last year, my brain has been like, you should get a girlfriend. And I'm like, maybe. It's really hard because obviously with the pandemic and everything, it's just made that really difficult, like dating. So even though I have this new kind of interest that I kind of want to explore, I can't really do that at the moment. But yeah, so point is, pre-transition, I was only dating cis men. Since transitioning, I've only dated LGBTQ folk, mainly non-binary folk and trans masculine folk. However, recently I've been attracted to more feminine folk and would totally be up for having a girlfriend. So I think relationship wise, that may be the next thing that happens, but obviously I can't predict anything because I might meet someone who is whatever next, and that will be it. Like, that's the thing, at the end of the day, like, I'm pansexual, like, I'm queer, like, gender isn't important when it comes to who I'm dating. It's just more recently this has been something that my brain has been like, ooh, girlfriend, because I've never had one before, and I feel like it could be, but yeah, so that's that question. I hope I answered that. I feel like I rambled a lot, so apologies if it doesn't sound cohesive at all. I will be trying to edit out as much as possible, but this is me we're talking about. Anyway, I hope that answers your question, Jay. Jay also has asked my fave LGBTQ plus YouTubers. This one's a hard one actually, because I stepped away from YouTube for a little bit and I stopped watching YouTube for a little bit, and coming back, I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to send any traffic towards his way, but one YouTuber that I used to watch a lot, he had some drama happen around him and I stopped being able to watch his YouTube because it just felt wrong and I didn't really want to be a part. Like, he was my most consistent YouTuber that I watched as well. I also used to watch a lot of Ash Fardell and Steph Sanyati. They're not really active either anymore. The only one that I used to watch, that I still watch, is Ty Turner. I also used to watch Jamie Rains, Jamie Dodger, but he did some videos with some YouTubers that have personally attacked me, and since then I just did not feel comfortable watching his videos anymore either. So I say the outcome of this is Ty Turner is the only LGBTQ YouTuber I currently watch. Maybe that's just, I think out of the trans YouTubers that I watch, that is the only one that I'm aware of. It's just Ty Turner. So I'm always open to more. If you have any more recommendations down below, please do not say the person who starts with a K and ends with an N, because I refuse to watch his videos, and again, somebody who personally attacked me. So fun, love that. Okay, maybe other YouTubers like LGBTQ+. God, I can't, that's the thing, like, a lot of people don't necessarily like talk about it enough for me to recognize that they're like LGBTQ. However, I guess since coming out, obviously Dan Howell and Amazing Phil have both came out, was it this year or last year? Last year, I think it was. Yeah, it was last year. And obviously I watched their videos, so, but then it's not because they're LGBTQ, that's just because I've been watching them for years. So it doesn't really count. I'm looking for recommendations if anyone's got some, please, because I really need to get back into it. Okay, on to the next question. Faye Sunflower asks, is there anything you wish you'd known before starting tea? For me, having my voice drop was something that I was looking forward to more than anything. And I feel like the one thing I'd wish I had known was that there is possibilities of tea not actually lowering your voice considerably enough for it to be registered 100% all the time as male. Like, I know that's obviously very grey area because it's kind of defining what's a masculine voice, feminine voice, blah 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 blah, there's no definition, like it is what it is. And I feel like I put a lot of pressure on tea to do that, and the fact that it hasn't got me to a point that I feel comfortable with my voice being like read as masculine, male, whatever, I think I'm just thoroughly disappointed, to be honest. So I think that's just the one thing. My voice dropped a little bit, but then it didn't change from about the 7th to 10 month area. That's kind of where it stopped changing, and it hasn't really changed since. So yeah, that. So Homo Magic asks, I get asked this a lot by trans guys, how did I decide to start tea? How did I decide to start tea or know it was the right thing to do? Well, that's the thing, like I came out like when I was in Japan, so it was like 2014, 2015, but I didn't decide to start my transition until 2016, I think it was, early 2016. I was about to graduate from university. I went to the doctor and I was just like, hey, I think I got some gender stuff up with me. I would like to be referred to the gender clinic. So that was about then, I think, that I decided that if anything, I wanted to at least get like the ball rolling, so that whilst I could figure out what I wanted, because obviously the waiting list in the UK back then was a year. Now it's like 2 years. So to have that going whilst I figure out what it is that I wanted. And obviously now, further on in my transition, I'm like, I want T, I want top surgery. I don't know if I'm wanting bottom surgery or anything, but that's something I want. I can decide to have it, you know? So I'm at that point now where obviously that was a really good idea, so I'm very glad of it. And how did I know it was the right thing to do? It just, I don't know how I'll have to say it then, it felt right. But it did, it felt right. Like felt like it was the next step in my life, in my transition, in my identity to transition. I was 24, I think, at the time, and I was just like, I wish I'd kind of done it sooner, to be honest, but at that point I'd only just discovered that being trans was the thing, so it was just, it felt right. Like, everything kind of just made sense. Like, my whole like childhood and growing up, like, I don't want to be that person that's just like, oh, like, it just felt like something wasn't right, and now I feel like it's right. As I was growing up, something felt like it wasn't right, and now I feel like it's right. So yeah, that's what it is. It just, my mind, something just clicked, and I was like, cool, yeah, that's the road I want to take. And my trans identity was something that was very important to me, and transitioning became very important to me because of it. So Conical_Morg asked, do you agree with trans men being a surrogate for people who can't have children? This is a really weird question to me because it's not something that I've ever come across, and it's a very specific question. Yeah, I agree with a trans man being a surrogate for people who can't have children. I mean, why would you say no to a trans man who was willing to be a surrogate for someone who wanted children? Like, I don't see what the difference is. As long as you can carry the child, if you can get pregnant and you are happy to be pregnant, there's no reason why you shouldn't. Like, there are plenty of trans men out there who have had pregnancies and carried their children and given birth. Like, as long as it's something that they're happy with, it doesn't affect them or their dysphoria. Especially if it's for someone else, because, you know, that person is asking you to carry their child for them, and I think that's it's a really beautiful thing, you know? Like, I don't see why it'd be an issue, and it'd be weird for a trans person to have an issue for it, you know? Like, I don't see why. At the end of the day, if you can carry the baby, if you can have that baby, that's all that matters, you know? I hope you're also okay with trans men being surrogates for folks who can't have kids. Like, if that's something that you disagree with, like, try and think about why that may be something that you do disagree with. Very, very heavy subject. So Panda_girl 264 asked, how long has been your transition journey so far? Again, I've just had posted my 3 years on T video. So I've been on T for 3 years. Since coming out, it's been about five, maybe 6 years. So I'm gonna say average 5 years has been my transition journey in terms of socially transitioning and medically transitioning and all that. 6 May asked, was any part of your transition ever scary or regretful? I don't regret any of it. I'd say I may be scared when I have to go and have surgery, but currently, up until now, not one part of it has made me scared. Even my dad disowning me, but he didn't even disown me for being trans, he just disowned me for being gay. So that was, you know, I haven't been scared about any of this. I've been excited and nervous for more to happen, but not scared, you know? So I didn't regret any of it. This isn't that I could have decided for me. Alex15 asks, what's one way to cope with body dysphoria besides hoodies and blankets? Again, this is very dependent on the person. Like, the way that I experience dysphoria and deal with my dysphoria is different to somebody else's. Aside from hoodies, I mean, that's a good one. Not gonna lie, that's a good one, hoodies and baggy clothes. Again, I feel like it's not necessarily related to body dysphoria, but it's surrounding yourself with people who will affirm your gender identity and gender you correctly and use your right name, regardless of how you think you look or feel and your validity. Yeah, having people around you that affirm your gender identity definitely helps to alleviate that dysphoria a little bit. I know that's more related to social dysphoria, but I also find that kind of links in with my body dysphoria as well. Anyway, thank you all for these great questions. I couldn't get around to answering all of them because otherwise this video would be like too long, But again, if there's any other questions you have, you're always welcome to drop comments and I will try and reply to things when I can. But yeah, I hope that was educational for some of you. I'm just happy to like share my experience with others, like in a way that will either help educate them as a cis person to how to, you know, address and talk and discuss things with trans folk, or you're trans and some of these answers and questions may have been useful for you on a personal level. So yeah, thanks for all your questions. Hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you later. Bye. Literally the best part of a video is finishing it and just then taking off everything on my jewellery, on my accessories. God, I can't wait to take off this binder. Being trans is a full-time job.